welcome you all, basketball degenerates, to another episode of the Pass First, Shoot Later podcast brought to you by the OC Basketball League. I'm your host, Zico Pepic, here with my team, Michael Van Wyck and Omar Almadine. Omar, I tried to rhyme it a little differently, make you a little happy. I'm not going to say I'm going to do it every time, but, I might throw that in there every once in a while now.
You should just
it's all good.
Just a different last name. Do a different last name every episode. It'll be a running joke. What's his last name today?
You know what, Mike? I'll let you pick what his last name is today.
Oh, Alamadino.
Okay.
Alamadino. Okay. Okay.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Have you guys been catching these in-season tournament games? We already had an upset.
Was that? Is that an upset?
That's an upset.
But not as far as in-season tournament. It's not. Pacers were the top seed, higher seed, weren't they?
Well, yeah, but you're still playing Boston, though. You're still playing the Boston Celtics.
It's a whole separate thing. That's why it's an in-season tournament.
I get what you're saying, but it still counts to your overall 82 record. And so at the end of the day, you got to win. And for an in-season tournament, playing a team that you may face in the first round, possibly, or the second round in the playoffs, you're giving them a lot of hope right now.
I will say this: this will be the Achilles heel for the Boston Celtics. This was my worry when they traded for Porzingis, who was hurt today, couldn't play, and his size would have really helped tonight. He's the kind of guy who misses a lot of games. So if this happens come playoffs and you're facing the Philadelphia 76ers, Embiid is going to roast you.
Well, but they didn't get beat by the big. They got torched by Halliburton.
That's true, but it changes the way you play defense. When you have a 7'3" guy in the post and you can put a little more pressure on the outside, it's a little easier for you to let your man go by and run into a wall as opposed to Al Horford, who's 98 years old and has hops about as big as yours, Mike.
Wow! Right now on my ankle. And Al
Right
Horford is only.
Hey, don't do that to Mike. Don't do that to Mike right now. Don't do that to Mike. He's pissed off that he couldn't play yesterday. So don't refresh that wound.
I don't know if you guys saw my foot, but no lie, I was at the house and I put on an ankle brace and tightened it up just to see, and there was no chance.
I saw your foot. It was bad. I knew you weren't going to play.
I saw you were in a boot, so that's all I needed to see.
Yeah, man.
But
quick reference for anybody who has no idea what we're talking about. Again, we run the OC Basketball League, and we just had our finals. Mike's team was in the finals. It's a best of 3 series. Mike's team lost 0 games to 2, and Mike could not play in the last game because he had rolled his ankle.
So Mike, do you think you should have just played on Thanksgiving weekend?
No, because I hurt myself the Saturday before. We would have had 2 guys. It would have just been Anthony and Colin. Everyone else was gone, and I was hurt.
Hey, the last person named Colin played against five players and almost won while he was at Alabama.
Colin had a decent game, but let's get on track here. Upset, in case the rest of you don't know on that.
But going back to Tyree, it does. I don't think whether Porzingis was there or not. He's been putting up numbers all season. He a lot of people may call him overrated. Some people call him underrated. However, he's been consistently putting up numbers, and that trade from Sacramento to Indiana has done him well, I would say. So I wouldn't necessarily say that whether they had a 7'3" guy in the paint or not would have made a difference with how he led his team tonight.
I think it would have helped Boston is what I was referring to. If you actually watch Halliburton, the last few games, he's kind of come down to earth. Teams have been adjusting to him. They're playing him a little bit differently. They're not letting him outlet as much as he has been to start the season. The Pacers are now 11-8. So they've come down to earth a little bit. So when you have Drew Holiday guarding you, I had assumed that you'd be able to slow them down. So for me, even without Porzingis, I feel like Boston is a good enough team to win that game. I think that would have probably been the easiest game in the tournament for them had they won. So
Buddy Hield also put up numbers.
It's true, but what I was referring to is I know that Indiana is a high-powered offense. They are not a good defensive team. This was the kind of game that Boston should have had more guys step up. Drew Holiday is one of the guys that should have stepped up tonight. He had a pretty poor performance. I think probably chasing Halliburton burned him out a little bit. But aside from Tatum and Brown, I think Derek White had a solid game. But aside from those three, I don't think anyone played very well for Boston.
Yeah, no. Horford had 2 points and 7 rebounds. Holiday 9 points and 1 of 5 from 3.
Yeah, they definitely were shorthanded.
All right. Hauser had 5 of 7 from 3, 15 points off the bench, but that was about it. I think, like you said, Porzingis would have helped them a ton, but what'd they get on? What'd they get?
I mean, Indiana had 7 guys scoring double figures.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously Tyrese and Buddy both in the 20s. And so it's just they had a lot going for them tonight. But even just that, I mean, Buddy Hield shot a hell of a percentage tonight. If you just look at his stat line, you know, he shot 67% from 3 for 21 points. So I think it's just they were clicking on all cylinders, you know, as a team. Well, I mean, as a team, they shot 48% from 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to beat a team when you shoot that high of a percentage from 3 in today's NBA.
Even Halliburton made sucking some of them, and they were just falling. He got fouled on a couple threes where he just chucked them up and they went down. So this is just one of those nights where everything went their way. And
they shot 9 more free throws and made 9 more free throws and won by 10. So
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of things that look like it went Indiana's way. Who do you think's going to win this other game? Right now, the Pelicans are up 9, start of the 4th quarter.
This game is really interesting to me because Pelicans are up 9. Go look at Zion Williamson's numbers right now.
Yeah, he has 8 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Zion fan. He's definitely a physical monster. Super exciting to watch. But
he's Blake Griffin.
He's what?
He's Blake Griffin.
Yeah, that's a good comparison for him. Honestly, I honestly, it's like a Blake Griffin mixed with Shaq. The physicalities. I mean, Mike. He's a load. He's a load. Watch him back people down. There's no one stopping that. The dude's like 300 pounds.
Yeah,
300 pounds and that much athleticism. Name another guy you've seen in the NBA with that much athleticism at 300 pounds. There's only one.
I can't.
Look, I know. I love Shaq too. Look, I love Shaq more than you. I'm a Laker fan, so I love Shaq more than you. You don't have to sit and explain to me and get defensive when someone.
Hey, Shaq was a bigger Kobe hater than I was at one point.
So see, no matter what we talk about, Mike finds a way to bring Kobe back into the conversation.
You want to know what though, Mike? Shaq admits he was wrong. You don't.
Yeah, see, Shaq was able to put his ego aside, Mike, and admit when he was wrong.
Shaq also calls Kobe the greatest basketball player ever. He said it multiple times.
Yeah. That's because he wants to continue making money on TV.
What? No. What?
It's okay. It's okay. Let's
oh my God, Mike.
I said we're gonna have a conspiracy theory episode at some point, but we'll touch on this now. What conspiracy theory do you have here now that Shaq wants to keep his job? Because most of the NBA doesn't talk about Kobe in that aspect, especially ESPN.
And Shaq don't need the TNT money, bro.
I'm not saying he's doing it. Shaq's a nice guy who just wanted to be a nice guy. That's all it is. He was the bigger person. He was the bigger person.
Anybody who disrespects Kobe today. He's the one guy who at the forefront of it. Whenever you hear someone disrespect him, whenever somebody talks about Jordan and LeBron, he says, "What about Kobe?" Every time he says, "What about Kobe?" You just took his name. You need to leave his name in there. There's a reason why. It's not just because he likes him. It's because he realizes he was that good. Whether you want to admit it or not, I know you still think he's not even top 10.
That has nothing to do with it. Look at the top 10 that I've listed, and I have him at 11. There's no other shooting guards in that list. He's the second best shooting guard to play basketball. I mean, you guys want to put all of this like, oh, you hate him, you hate him, you hate him. I didn't like the guy as a person, but being the 11th best basketball player to ever play basketball and the number 2 at your position when you're just a copy of the guy at number 1.
Okay, hold on a second.
It's not hate.
If that is your if that
I'm just
is
not over glorifying the guy.
no, if that is your reasoning for you to say that, that means you need to have 3 players at one position, because you're saying basically the second best shooting guard. So
I got power forwards and centers in there all over the place. Shaq, Kareem, Olajuwon, Duncan. Probably
So
not a
you're
lot.
putting-
I
you're-
forget when we went through
this is
Bill
this is the
Russell.
problem with that.
I
Like
mean,
you're saying Kobe's the second best shooting guard all time, but that lists him all the way down to 11th. You're saying that there are other positions that are better than what Kobe Bryant was. I think this is where
I'm saying they're better players.
oh my
Eddie
goodness.
Johnson, Larry
But-
Bird,
We will
LeBron
have this
James.
conversation.
But again,
We're doing
when
a
we
top
talk
10
about-
maybe next week.
We already did my top 10 the first time I was on here a long time. Not when it was
No,
this.
no, that wasn't
No, that,
the-
that
you wanna
didn't count.
refresh
That
it?
didn't
Okay.
count.
This is a
Okay.
refresh.
But Mike, the second best at his position and doesn't make it in the top 10. I mean, you're trying. How are you comparing the other?
All right, let's
10?
take a different analogy. Okay. If
Okay.
you named the top 10 NFL players of all time, how many offensive linemen are going to be in there? Probably not the best one ever, because you're going to put 6 quarterbacks, a receiver, and running backs. I mean, don't be silly. Not all positions are created equal, and not the whole game.
Yeah, but that's a
Each
very
sport
What is the
different-
most dominant position? What is the
Yeah.
most dominant position of all time? What's the most dominant position?
Right now, if you look at top to bottom, if you're looking at play, I'm going to go with forwards. I have more forwards in there.
You do, but what's the most dominant position? See, you made a football comparison, but the
Small
quarterback,
forwards or
running
power
back-
forwards? Specify it.
Well, it depends what era you're playing in. Right now, if you look at the best players in the league, they're all small forwards and forwards,
Yeah, I will.
with a couple of exceptions.
I'll agree with that, but I don't think any of those best players in the league right now are cracking the top 10. Like maybe
LeBron.
Giannis.
LeBron.
Well, aside from LeBron. LeBron's already in it. Like that's different.
Yeah.
So out of name somebody else right now that will crack the top 10 when they're done with their career at the pace they're going right now.
In the NBA right now,
Yeah.
There's only one.
yeah, maybe. I don't think
Steph.
Steph can get there unless I don't think Steph can get there.
That he's the
think
only
Steph
one that's
can
going
get
to get
there.
there. I don't think KD's going to get there.
Luca, maybe. No, I don't think
Luka,
KD
yeah.
either. If you want to go into my thoughts about KD,
But Luka's going to be a point
disagree
guard.
with those,
Luka's going
I
to be
don't-
listed as a point guard.
and that's fine. That's what I'm saying.
Not a forward.
then- And then,
But
and then you might have
there's what I'm saying. There's exceptions. Giannis isn't going to get there. He's not going to do enough. There's no other guy. I mean, it's way too early, but Wemby could do it if he turns into what everybody thinks he's gonna. Zion obviously couldn't turn into what everybody thought he was going to be. It's just there's a lot to get into the top. There's a lot to get into the top 11, and you
Okay.
guys want to make this big deal about it, but no. And we'll go back to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, isn't a leader of a team. He's not going to be in the top 10. He's probably not in the top 15, and he has no rings if it isn't for Steph Curry. I don't care who won that Finals MVP. Andre Iguodala got Finals MVP. That doesn't make him the best player on any team ever.
Then why do you hold that against Kobe Bryant that he doesn't have more finals MVPs?
I don't. That's just something that I can tell you guys because he wasn't the leader on his team. He wasn't the regular season MVP. That was Shaq. He wasn't the Finals MVP. That was Shaq. He wasn't.
Yes,
He
absolutely.
So
wasn't-
hold on. So are we really using a trophy at the end to really determine somebody's impact on winning a championship?
Absolutely not. But if you take away
Okay, because
Shaq
if
from
you
the
look
team-
if you look at Kobe,
wait a minute. Wait.
that
Take Shaq away from the team. What happened to the Lakers? I'm pretty sure they got some high draft picks. Take
They
Kobe
were-
away
and,
from
and,
the
and so tell me, outside of Shaq going to Miami, playing alongside another Hall of Famer in
not a
Dwayne
top
Wade.
10. Not a top 10 guy.
Dwayne Wade,
Not a top 10 NBA player.
depending on who you talk to, they could.
No, he's not. He's not a top 10.
But he's
I
not
would
top
put
10.
Dwayne Wade in
I
the
said
top 10.
I didn't say he's my top 10 either, but I
No.
said he's still a
Dwayne
Hall
Wade
of Fame.
doesn't even put himself in his top 10.
But-
Stop.
Where would you
Hold on,
where would
but
you
he's a
put
Hall of
Dwayne
Fame.
Wade on the list of all-time shooting guards?
Yeah, okay, go there.
Top 5. Maybe 3, maybe 4.
Okay,
Depends
so
how-
Shaq had a top 5 shooting guard of all time.
After having the second best shooting guard of all time.
Okay. And Kobe got another top 10 power forward when he got Powell.
Yeah, but that was years later. Like that's the whole
That's what I'm
thing.
saying.
It's
I
like
mean,
Okay,
like,
you're going with an older Paul Gasol versus a younger Dwayne Wade. Like that's just different.
yeah, it's like it's a different situation. Like, look, uh, my whole thing is like I love all the guys on this list. I love Shaq too. Like I've always been a Shaq fan. Like I don't hate on Shaq or anything like that. My whole thing with this is you're kind of comparing apples to oranges, and like I think you have to understand like situations from it because some of it goes outside of a player's control. Like there's situations in the NBA right now, like that go outside of a player's control in terms of how they're assembling a team. It's not their choice. Kobe Bryant was on the Lakers. They chose to keep Kobe Bryant. They chose to rebuild. The year Shaq left, Kobe Bryant got hurt. He missed.
Did they choose, or were they kind of put in that position by the player you're talking about?
You want to go back and look at this? Who put them
No.
in that position? Who put them in that position? It was Shaq. It wasn't Kobe. Shaq didn't want Kobe to get paid because Shaq wanted that money. Go back and look at that. Shaq wanted the max contract. At that point, he wanted the $120 million. And at that time, the rules were a little different. That means if Shaq got the $120 million contract, Kobe couldn't get the $80 million contract he was supposed to get for extension. So Kobe could either take like 40 million or go get 80 million somewhere else. What would you
and Shaq playing out of shape and refusing to get in shape to earn to get the
The
money.
dude went and won a championship the next year. So
and how much weight did he
man.
lose going into Miami that year? Do you
how much weight did he gain to go into LA because he didn't want to get bumped around anymore like he was in Orlando? I mean, people do different things for different reasons.
That's not what happened. That's not what happened, man. Like again,
So
like,
Mike, you're telling Mike, you're telling me Orlando Shaq with the weight that he played at would have got bullied in the West? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what Shaq said. That's why he put the weight on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find that quote.
That's why he needed Kobe to win. He could not have won without Kobe. He got Mike. If
yes, he won without Kobe. Even Mercedes is chiming in. Didn't he win without Kobe? Yes, he did.
No, hold on a second. Oh, no. In the West. I'm sorry. Listen to this. There was almost a trade. Kobe Bryant was almost traded for Jason Kidd. Is Jason Kidd and Shaq beating the Tim Duncan Spurs? No. You know it. You know it.
No, guys,
but you
guys are missing what I'm saying. Jason Kidd's not in the top 10. Name somebody
that's the most you're going to get at that point. Like
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. You guys are trying to saying that I'm taking away from Kobe, and
that's what I was trying to explain.
Number 11.
You're holding Kobe Bryant's after they traded Shaq. You're holding Kobe Bryant you're holding the situation the Lakers put him against him. That's different from.
I'm not. I'm just saying he's not better than any of the other 9 guys. 10 guys that are in front of him. I mean, no one's debating Jordan. The other 9 guys.
You're using the franchise situation and the dynamic of the team against somebody cracking your top 10.
Take the other 9 guys in their prime and put them with Shaq. Well, you got to take out Shaq, and we're taking out Jordan. So the other 8 guys I have listed in front of Kobe and partner him with Shaq, they're winning a championship.
Okay, I don't think so.
Who are the other guys?
Any of them.
So you're telling me
Bill Russell in his prime playing power forward next to Shaq. Kareem playing power forward next to Shaq. You put LeBron James, prime LeBron James with prime Shaq. You put this is crazy. Prime Larry Bird, prime Magic Johnson.
Prime LeBron did play with Shaq, and how did that?
Not prime Shaq. Stop it.
You have Hakeem in your top 10, right?
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and look.
Hakeem was your 10th. You had Kobe 11th. Yeah, I remember it very well. And see, like my biggest.
So you do remember.
I do remember. I remember very well.
And if you put Hakeem, because all those guys could shoot mid range and all those guys could play high post, you put Hakeem next to Shaq, that's a championship team.
Mike, as a Muslim, like I love Hakeem more than you could possibly understand. Okay, the amount of respect I had for Hakeem, especially for the things he did that went outside of basketball, was huge for us. For our religion, it's huge. Okay. But Hakeem had 2 elite seasons of numbers that are insane. His body of work, go take his body of work and compare it to Kobe Bryant's, and it's not even close. We're praising LeBron James.
Wait. Kobe benefited from playing with other top 50 NBA players, including another.
This is wrong.
What's wrong?
Did he have? How many top 50 players did he have?
In my opinion, if you're talking in the span, you've got Gasol and you've got Shaq.
That's it.
Okay. Hakeem had nobody.
How many
And
did
don't
LeBron have?
don't give me these.
How many did LeBron and Magic have? And Kareem, how many did they have?
I mean, LeBron has
Jordan.
probably name how many Hall of Famers LeBron has played with.
As of right now, only one of them's in the Hall of Fame, right?
Okay, Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade.
Okay, Shaq.
So you can't count Shaq. Shaq in Cleveland.
It doesn't matter. He played
No,
with,
stop it. Okay, then
okay.
Kobe played with Dennis Rodman.
Ray Allen.
Okay,
Chris Bosh.
Ray Allen. Chris Bosh isn't in yet.
Kyrie.
All those guys are going to be Hall of Famers, Mike.
All of those guys. So LeBron has played
Because
with
of
the most Hall of
LeBron.
Famers.
Because of LeBron.
Come on, man. Chris Bosh's Hall of Fame candidacy is going to be partly what he did in Toronto. He was a double machine. He was still
he was almost 25 and 12 in Toronto before he went over to Miami.
He still would have been in the Hall of Fame. Dwight Howard is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's another one that played with LeBron.
And played with Kobe too, buddy.
I know he did.
Dwight Howard played with Kobe, so
And
he did.
And he
probably would have won the title if Kobe didn't.
And Steve Nash and Karl Malone. If we want to count all these clowns that come at the end of their careers, fine.
I didn't count.
But hold on.
I didn't count
but
Shaq.
LeBron didn't play with these clowns at the end of their careers, as what you're saying.
Shaq was at the end of his career.
Okay,
Ray Allen literally retired.
I'm not counting Shaq personally.
I mean, Ray Allen was still good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from Ray Allen, but Ray Allen wasn't in his prime.
He wouldn't have won a title without Ray Allen.
So Kyrie, Kevin Love, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade.
Look, we can go back then. Okay, you got to get Robert Horry, Derek Fisher. I mean, we can do this all day. Derek Fisher's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Robert Horry's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
No, he's not.
No, he's not, Mike.
Okay, hold on. So if you think Derek Fisher's is going to the Hall of Fame, is Draymond Green going to the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
Draymond Green is going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yes.
He's a completely different player.
And also, the caliber of coaching that Kobe had is much different than the caliber of coaches that LeBron has had.
I will agree with that. Phil Jackson.
Okay, but that's also because LeBron wanted full control too.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with the reason, but all of this comes because I put the man one spot lower than you want him to be.
Because you hate that, you make it personal. Like you're not even thinking rationally. You're just personally, I hate him, so I'm intentionally going to put him down.
That's not true. He's a copy. He's a carbon. He's a copy of what's there. What's better, the original shoe or the retro shoe?
See, that's the difference for me. See, I grew up idolizing Michael Jordan. Everything Mike did, we all wanted to be like Mike. We're all sticking our tongue out. We're all shooting shots into the trash can. Dude, I did that. I know a lot of people did that. If Anthony did it, your own brother did it. Your own brother still does it. We're all trying to copy his moves. We're all trying to do it. They were so hard that most of us could not do those moves.
Most people fail trying to emulate Jordan, and Kobe was able to do that. They say the best form of respect
is imitation. Yes, the biggest form of flattery is imitation. Yeah, I got it. Correct. That's why he got to number 11. We're so off topic.
Yeah, we are off topic.
Okay, you know what? But hold on. Going back to what started this whole conversation, Mike, you can't help yourself but find a way to bring Kobe into every basketball.
So is Jason Tatum going to be in your top 10? Because he's the next closest, right? He's got to get there.
I don't think he's even close.
How's he the closest?
If he wins 3 championships in his career, he's the closest thing to Kobe Bryant since Kobe Bryant.
Well, when he wins a championship, then we'll have that conversation then. But until right now, if you were to take him for what it is today, I think Jokic gets in before Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
Jokic gets in what? The top 10? Well, 100% Joker's better than Tatum. Joker's probably the best player in the league right now.
Agree.
So the thing is, we can't say that right now until people's careers are over.
But then you go back to my original point of power forwards and centers. So thank you, Omar. Appreciate that.
Jason Tatum's not a power forward.
I know, but Joker is. And you just said he's better and more deserving.
I look at his numbers. You know what? This is a perfect segue going back into what we started this conversation about. Let's talk about the Denver Nuggets.
We're going to talk about the Northwest Division in this episode. We are like 45 minutes into the episode. We haven't even started the topic. But yes, today's topic is the Northwest Division. If you guys are still listening, thank you.
There's only 2 teams to really talk about. I mean, we'll talk about them all, but
there's more than 2 teams to talk about.
No. And the only reason Mike is doing that is because we talked about 2 of these teams at the beginning in the first episode, so he's trying to skip over them because Mike got mad at us when we started talking about Anthony Edwards. Remember?
No, Minnesota is definitely one of the teams we should talk about. Minnesota, like I said, they're a
KC,
good team.
we're talking about KC. Okay,
They got. We'll talk about OKC for a little. They're 2.5 there. We got 2.5 because no one needs to talk about Portland or Utah anymore. But Minnesota is young. They're good. But at the end of the day, and I'll just skip because we've heard me say it already. When the playoffs come, they're going to stretch Rudy Gobert out. They're going to bring Cat out to the perimeter, and they're going to have that no protection. And if they sag Rudy Gobert, then they're just going to shoot threes in the corner with whatever stretch 4 you got, or 5.
Which team are you talking about?
Minnesota. I know we started Denver,
No,
but
I understand that. But which team are you planning on having do that to them?
and who's going to play them in the playoffs? You're looking at Phoenix, the Clippers. Right now, they're the 1 seed, so they play the Pelicans. So that's a bad example. But most of these teams, they're not going to finish.
But if let's just say right now, what do you call it? The Clippers are about 2 games away from taking that 8 seed. Let's just say the Clippers are your 8 seed if the playoffs were to start today.
You put Zubac in the high post, and everybody else has to shoot. And you can
always ready for those Russell Westbrook corner 3-pointers.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
guys. Wait,
shoot that.
Can we talk about something real quick though? Wait a minute. What did I say had to happen for the Clippers to start getting better? Harden or Westbrook had to come off the bench. Westbrook went to the bench, and now they're making it work.
Agreed with you, 100%. I think that was the right.
But they're still, but
Westbrook doesn't start anymore. So you got 4 shooters on the court with Zubac. If Gobert's guarding Zubac, you go set a high pick and roll.
And depending on what Paul George you get to, he might hit the side of the backboard shooting that corner 3.
So don't put Paul George in the corner.
My only issue is why now, Westbrook? Why, when you were a Laker, did you fight it so much?
He was a Kobe hater.
No, he's a Kobe lover, man. That guy loves Kobe.
So that's why he wanted to be your shooting guard.
No, I don't think that was it. He wanted to be the point guard. And I get it. I think his style of play kind of clashed with LeBron.
I think a lot of people's style of play clashes with LeBron. Let's just be honest here. He's ball dominant, and everything, all the whole offense has to run through him. But going back to that, so even if you go with that matchup, that 1-8 matchup, if it were to happen today, the Clippers and Minnesota, you think a small lineup for them is going to basically take away what Harden could do on any given night? We're talking about as a team, not individually. You think they'll be able to? It won't go to 7.
I think Minnesota's capable of winning, but I think that it'll come down to Rudy Gobert getting less minutes. I think that's what's going to happen when the playoffs come around. Depending on the matchups, Gobert's going to have less minutes because you've seen it time in and time out. When he's on the court in the playoffs, the teams search for him with pick and rolls. They get him on guards because he can't guard the perimeter. And I think it'll be the same thing. It'll be the same downfall for Rudy Gobert teams.
I agree with you for the most part. That's the same thing that happened while he was with the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz tried playing Royce O'Neal at the 4 to try and offset that so they could switch everything on the perimeter. It didn't work. I think that was why that team fell apart. It was just poorly constructed.
But this team is a much better team on paper than those Utah team.
Just as a note, right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, their offensive rating is 17th in the NBA right now, but their defensive rating is 1st. They have the best defense, and it's not just with Gobert. Even when Gobert comes off and they bring Naz Reid in, they get a little smaller and they move a little better. So they've been able to match up and adjust to teams. And
you can't take away
Conley. If you actually watch the way they're playing defense, they're putting so much more ball pressure on the perimeter that it's made it a lot easier for them to keep Gobert in a safe spot on defense. So I actually think that they're still a little young. Like Edwards is going to need a little bit more time to grow, but I think they might be like what Sacramento is kind of growing up to be, like a real threat, like in a year or 2. So maybe this season, I'm going to agree with you, but they're a team that I would keep an eye on, because if Anthony Edwards continues to get better and becomes an elite player, a la Jason Tatum kind of level type of player, I think that they could be a real threat, because when you have that inside outside offensive presence with Towns and with Edwards, that's tough to match up with. And the fact that Towns can also knock down that three and spread the floor, I think this team.
And the key is, you talked about it defensively. That even if they go small, they still have size and length. I mean, you brought up Nas Reed. One person I want to point out is Jaden McDaniels. Sitting at 6'9", being able to guard, three to four positions at any given time. So that allows them to go play small ball, but still have the length and the ability to guard on the perimeter. So that's key there.
Yeah, that's something that's like really impressive to me. Like if I'm building a roster, I want two offensive threats on my team, inside, outside. Like I think that's the best combination. Kobe, Shaq, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan. Like I kind of try and build teams like that. And if you have Towns and you have Edwards and that's your inside out, I want three defensive cogs to take loads off of them on defense. And honestly, both Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert are defensive player of the year candidates. I know Gobert's probably going to get a little more of that just because he's a big man. He's going to get those block shots and things like that. But Jaden McDaniels is a pest on defense. He's guarded every single best player from bigs to small every single week. And I actually really like watching him. I'm a big defensive type of player. He's one of my favorite to watch. I don't know how much you've watched him, Mike. He's one worth watching.
And they're also missing a key defensive player due to injury, but the rookie out of UCLA, Jalen Clark, Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, so that team still defensively, I think that's where they excel.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I mean,
but
it's a good regular season team. They're going to put up good regular season numbers. They'll probably realistically get out of the first round. But Zico, what he said with age, I think they're still a little too inexperienced to get to the finals. And I think that any good team or coach is going to expose Gobert on the perimeter. And that's how they'll get beat.
I will throw this in there, though, Mike. The fact that they have their two best players are the young guys, but the fact that they have really good veterans on that team, I think it could still bounce them back into that. Like again, Conley, Gobert, these are good veterans. They have good heads on their shoulders. Even like Kyle Anderson.
I was going to say Kyle Anderson playing under Popovich. He is a vet.
I agree.
But the question is, are they going to be the number one seed going to the playoffs? Probably not.
But none of that matters, and I'll tell you why.
Because seeding does matter, because
no.
You
Okay,
already said they'll get out the first round. You already said they'll get out the first round.
Right. I'm not talking, but what I'm talking about is deep runs and who it gets to, and they're good veterans. And you're right. Probably in a couple of years they'll be poised to go even further. But the problem is the other team in their division, the Nuggets. They're not getting past the Nuggets because none of them are guarding Jokic. And as good as Edwards is, Denver has a lot of guys that can match up and they can switch off to not get tired. And none of those guys in Minnesota are going to keep up with Jamal Murray in a 7-game series. They're not going to shoot as well as KCP and Michael Porter Jr. They're just not going to do it for a 7-game series.
I mean, that's your defending champs who really haven't really lost that much. I know they lost Bruce Brown for last year, but obviously they've had other guys step up this season. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about you can't rule out your defending champs regardless of what we say or any other team doing what they're doing around them.
No,
but then again, it all goes down to playoff seeding. Where are they going to see Denver? Are they going to see Denver in the first round or the conference finals?
And realistically, I mean, obviously they're not going to see him in the first round. I don't see either of these teams falling that far off. But with that said, I don't think it matters when they see Denver. If it's the playoffs, Denver's winning. If both teams are completely healthy, Denver's winning.
I agree with that, Mike. And that's kind of what I said about like this team's still a little bit further away. I don't know if they can. I don't think they could beat Denver.
I don't think they're.
I feel like they could beat any other team in the West.
Yeah, I think that's why I said they're a couple years away from being where Denver is now, but in a couple years, I think Denver will be even better. So I don't think they're going to get. I think Denver's going to be their hump. Just,
So
I mean, you look at rivalries in the history of basketball. There's always that team you can't get over until they're too old or gone
right.
past. I think Denver is going to be Minnesota's problem for a long time.
Now, my issue right now is what we're gonna dive back into Denver since we talked about them. Denver this last year, they obviously won the title. The year before, they did not. I think they were still probably the best team in the West, even the year before.
Well, Jamal Murray
But
got
exactly. So like Jamal Murray's hurt again right now. And at some point, some of that has to deal with durability issues. Jamal Murray, I think, played 60 games last season. I know he missed about the first 20. He's still recovering from his injury. It took him about good 30, 40 games to get into rhythm before he kind of just started rolling once playoffs came around. And then that's when the Denver Nuggets really took off. My worry is you did lose Bruce Brown. That's actually a pretty big blow. Murray's hurt again, and he got hurt in the middle of the season or during the start of the season, so he's missed time. It could be a situation where imagine playoffs come around and Denver isn't 100% healthy, and now you have that issue of, well, because of this, they're not a top team. And in that, if that's the situation, that's where I kind of said, like, kind of keep an eye out for Minnesota, because we all know somebody could get hurt, somebody gets traded, and everything swings. So they're a team I think that's a legitimate threat if things go their way.
Well, any team going into the playoffs with injuries is going to be, not at their best, and like you said, durability issues is going to play a factor. Plus, some of the key players for this Denver team are on the older side of things, right? They're not old, but they're on the older side of things. I mean,
they're not. I mean, they're a pretty young roster. Who you?
I mean, you're talking about you got KCP's in his 30, Reggie Jackson's 33.
KCP's 30, Reggie Jackson's 33, and then you got Justin Holiday and DeAndre Jordan 34 and 35. Everyone else is 28 or below.
Yep.
Well, but we're talking about take away the young people. What we're talking about, because Reggie Jackson right now is filling in that void that Bruce Brown left behind, and he's on the older side. KCP is on the older side, and he plays a key role.
KCP's averaging the most minutes per game on that team right now, which is crazy. But
that goes back to what Zico's saying, the durability of it going into an 82 game season and through the playoffs.
Yeah, I still think Denver's number one. My whole thing is I worry about them being able to do it back to back. I think that you're going to have some durability issues just because of wear and tear, and the way the NBA is played today, more and more players are dealing with injuries and things like that are taking the time away from the court for them. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think Denver's going back to back. I'll make that. That's a hot take for us right now. I don't think Denver's going back to back.
I think it's tough for any team to go back to back. Earlier, I said Joker's probably the best player in the league as far as what he does on the court. Pelicans just finished the Kings, by the way, update. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he controls the pace. He controls the floor. He can shoot from anywhere. He keeps the ball high. He has great court vision. He passes the ball well. We talked about them not winning 2 years ago because Murray was hurt. They got real close still against a very good, Warriors team, right? I think Joker at this point might be able to get over the hump even without Jamal Murray. I know that's probably more of a hot take than saying they won't go back to back, because obviously Jamal Murray's their number two, but I think he has that next step. And with Reggie Jackson being able to fill in, with KCP playing at that high level, you got Brown, the other Brown, not Bruce Brown. Forget his first name. It looks like Braun, but it's Brown.
Christian
Braun.
Don't they pronounce it Brown?
Yeah, it's Braun.
I know it looks like Braun.
It's Braun.
Okay, well, him. And then Michael Porter Jr. doesn't know how to pass the ball, but he shoots the heck out of it and can score. And Aaron Gordon. I think Aaron Gordon's very
He's perfect for that team.
He's undervalued, I think, in most people's eyes. Because I think, like you said, he's a perfect fit for that team. He has no ego. He goes, he does what he needs to do. He rebounds, he puts it in when he needs to, and he hustles and plays defense. So I think even with Jamal Murray or any one of those players being out, I think they still have enough to get there. Maybe not covering Aaron Gordon, but obviously it all centers around Joker. If Jokic goes out, then they're done. But that guy's not going to get hurt because, like Omar said earlier, he jumps about as much as I do.
Yeah, he doesn't jump. He doesn't
Big,
jump too high. He doesn't
solid.
run too fast.
He doesn't jump. He doesn't try to do it. I mean, he's not going to put up anything spectacular. He's not doing that. He's just going to put the ball in the basket. He's going to grab the ball when he needs to, and he's going to make a pass when he needs to. And he hates basketball, apparently.
Honestly, it's funny. A lot of the European people are like that. They'll have like a bunch of professional athletes who played basketball, were like elite over there. And I'll sit whenever I go visit. My family's from Montenegro. We speak the same language as Joker. And a lot of the athletes over there, when they're done, it's like they never want to play basketball again. It's like, hey, let's go play pick a ball 3-on-3. He's like, no, I never want to play again. I don't ever want to play. They get a gut that's like as big as you could possibly imagine. They're 39 years old. They just look miserable. They just want to like sit in the corner and drink.
Yep, they all look like me.
I was trying to describe you there, Omar.
Trust me, there's no shame in it. That's the reality. It's funny. We're having a similar conversation. You guys all remember Steve Burke. He played in Lebanon, and obviously being Lebanese and playing there at a younger day, we were talking about it. And a lot of teams, they didn't want to re-sign him. They're like, oh, he's 39. And I'm like, but, he went over to Greece and he's still playing, year 17 at the age of 39. And I told him the same exact thing. I said, because most people in that country is once they stop playing, they don't know how to take care of their body. And they all look like me. And Steve started laughing so hard in the car. He's like, dude, you're retarded for saying that. But that's the reality. Overseas, once they're done playing.
You're going to have to edit that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay.
I forget. See, that's where we live in this world today, man. You have to be very censored on what you say. But who cares?
Yeah, I don't care.
But yeah, but the bottom line is that's what Zico's saying. It's all these European countries and other countries where after they're done playing basketball, it's they're done.
Mm-hmm. You don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing.
Yep.
You were talking about the way Jokic plays and how he never moves too fast, never jumps too high. I don't know if it was you or Omar that mentioned that, but
both of us.
Okay, Denver Nuggets pace this season 25th. Yeah. I just think that's like the perfect way to describe them.
There's, I mean, a lot of European basketball players play that way. You look at Luka, they're methodical. They're fundamental. They're methodical. They get to their spots. They don't do it overly flashy. They don't make extra moves. They don't do anything above and beyond what they need to do. And then at the end of the game, all of their stats are above and beyond what they should be doing. Yeah. So, if you want to talk about getting old, we could talk about OKC.
I see you're not too excited to talk about OKC.
No, they're getting right to the age limit,
right? Mike, we agreed last week we won't go there. There was a text that went around in the group chat that we wouldn't go there, but you failed us again.
Yeah, let's talk about OKC. Let's talk about the team and where they are in the Western Conference.
They still got their whole roster listed on Max Prep, right, Mike?
They got one guy who's over 30, Davis Bertans. The rest of them are under 30 years old.
And it accounts for second in the Western Conference. They have a 13-6 record. they're fun to watch on both ends of the court. Their offensive rating is 4th in the NBA. Their defensive rating is 6th in the NBA. Shai is playing amazing. The guy's an absolute magician with the ball. Everything he's doing is a highlight reel.
So I saw a meme the other day about the most lopsided trade in NBA history. Paul George for SGA and all the draft picks that went with it. I mean, what OKC has done with their trades and everything, you know, look what they've built for today's game. I think they've done a hell of a job.
It's not the first time. Like this is
not.
You know, this is what he does. The guy's amazing at this. My only thing is like I really like this OKC team. They're fun. They're exciting. They're playing team basketball. They've got like a kind of like a weird, edgy swagger to them that's really cool, especially in today's NBA. Yeah. But Sam Presti, he's putting pieces together that work. My only thing is if he decides not to pay these guys right before they win a championship, I will like never watch.
You're talking about the 05, 06.
They got 12 dudes who aren't old enough to rent a car.
Yeah. I know. But those 12 dudes, like seriously, like this roster, I absolutely love their starting 5. By the way, shout out to Chet. I know everybody's high on Wembanyama. Here's a hot take, Mike. I mean, I don't know how you're going to feel about it. I think Chet's going to win Rookie of the Year.
I wouldn't shock me. Chet's consistent. Chet's putting up the same numbers. Chet's balling, and he's on a better team.
Yeah.
See, and this is some controversy that I like to throw out there right now because I personally have a problem with guys that are in the NBA that set out that first year for whatever reason, right? And they're eligible for Rookie of the Year because we all know the NBA regimen, the plan, the program, the weight training, all that stuff that you gain versus an incoming rookie. There is an advantage there. I don't want anybody to tell me there isn't.
Agreed. But that's also an advantage for a guy playing 4 years of college basketball.
I don't.
I understand.
I agree with you, Omar. I think that whole extra
regimen, program, whatever you want to call it,
training, what they get exposed to, what they see, what they learn from coaching, that next level stuff. I completely agree with you. But with that said, you got to do it for more than that one season. And I mean, you can't just. I think Chet's going to continue to develop past that one. I know,
but we're talking about.
I know you're specifically talking about Rookie of the Year. I know, but there's guys like Ben Simmons who just fall flat because they don't.
Well, that's because he dated a Kardashian. You know what happens to everybody that dates a Kardashian.
More hot takes.
I mean, we can name them. Chris Humphries is no longer in the lead after he dated her. Blake Griffin.
Chris Humphries ever been in the league though?
Tristan Thompson's still in the league. Can you believe that?
James Harden's still in the league. Devin Booker, that doesn't. Is that a Kardashian?
Well, that's because Tristan Thompson. It's LeBron that keeps him in the league.
Was that a Kardashian? Does that count?
LeBron acts like a Kardashian depending on how you look at it.
I meant Booker's. What's her Jenner? Kendall Jenner.
Well, she's a half-bred Kardashian.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
Does it count for Chris Paul too?
Oh man.
Okay.
The alcohol was pretty rough, right? Right after everybody found out.
So what's her name? North better watch out. Talking about OKC.
Oh man, come on, Mike! Don't do this.
Oh man,
to cancel this episode. It's been pretty good so far, and you're killing me.
Mike, you keep threading the needle, bro.
Court vision. All right.
You know what? You know what? Since we're coming to the end of it, and because of Mike's comment right now, I'm gonna.
Well, you got to hit Portland and Utah.
We're not at the end of it. We haven't even talked about OKC. There's so much about this team I wanted to talk about. Let's start with Josh Giddey.
Because Chet, I think like we said, Chet's going to develop. I think Chet's going to win Rookie of the Year. For all the jokes and whatever, Giddey's playing well. He's putting up solid numbers. You got what's his name?
Lukas Dort and James Williams.
Dort's what? what series was it? There was a playoff series, I think 2 years ago. Maybe it was a year ago, where it was like, damn, he's good. Like he is a motor. He keeps going. I forget what series it was, but that was the first time I really watched him play. So I think he's an under the radar player. I obviously he's going to be a role player. I don't think he's ever going to amount to, max contract guy or even an all NBA guy, but he is a nice role player.
I just like the way the team is constructed for them. There's so many pieces that fit really well. Again, that starting five is so good. Chet, Jalen Williams, Lugens Dort, Shea, and Giddey. It creates so many matchup problems when you look at it. Giddey's 6'8" point guard. Shea's a 6'6" shooting guard. Lugens Dort's the smallest guy there. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". But he's the lockdown defender. He's guarding 1 through 4. Jalen Williams, same thing. He can guard 1 through 4, switch on everything, and he's a lights out shooter. And then Chet, when you have a big man that runs like that, I don't know if you guys watched them play against Philadelphia. Yeah, Embiid's my favorite big man. Embiid and Jokic are my 2 favorite big men in the league. And I think for a guy like Chet, the matchup you want to look at of how successful he'll be in the NBA is when he goes up against someone like that, because his frame is small. He's going to get bodied quite a bit by guys like that. So if you can go into that matchup and be successful, you're going to have a good NBA career. I think Wembanyama is going to have to deal with situations like that as well. I think those are the matchups you want to look and see how he handles it. Chet went off, I think 36 against Embiid. I think Embiid had like 42, but like the kid put in work. I think he had 3 or 4 blocks as well, most of them on Embiid. When I see stuff like that, I know that's like when I start comparing guys like Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett was this rail thin, but really strong for his size type of player who can go body up centers, small forwards, power forwards, whatever you want. He's going to make sure he's in position to do that. Maybe not perfectly the whole game. You can't ask for that against someone like Embiid, but I think the guy's going to be a player. I think
KG was different. KG was a different breed.
Yeah.
But KG was a different beat.
But
what you're saying,
I think Chet could be KG of today's age.
KG was able to guard the 1 through 5. KG will pick up point guards 94 feet with no problem. I can't see Chet doing that.
KG was an animal.
How many OKC games have you watched, Omar?
I don't have to watch anything. KG was a unique breed.
Look, I'm not saying he is. You have to understand. Like I just made a comparison. Like today's NBA is completely. I'm old school basketball fan. Like I prefer KG to anyone. If KG was in the NBA today, I think he's MVP of the league. Like he's probably best player in the league. But in today's age, you have to adjust to the AAU circuit of what they learned in AAU, the new style of basketball that's being played. And I feel like if KG was in the NBA today, he'd probably be playing in a similar fashion to the way Chet is. So that's my comparison for him. I'm not saying he's the next KG.
So the one thing I will say, and I know it's not completely off topic, but you're talking about him going up against Embiid and having that physicality and being able to play with them. And that's what I think Chet got from that extra year of NBA training, weight training, all of that. And I don't think that Wemby's gonna not have that in a year. I think he's gonna have that.
With that, but at the same time,
he's gonna get that muscle. He's gonna get that build.
Right. At the same time, though, Mike, Wemby's been playing internationally and training internationally. He didn't go to college. He didn't play AAU.
It's still different.
No. The physicality in Europe is more physical. So yeah, there is that advantage. But again, the game may be more physical, Zico, but the weight training. You know what I'm saying? The muscle.
Not even just age. I can tell you, every one of us was stronger at 20 than we were at 18.
That is true.
It's just that's what's going to happen. I mean, you're just going to get stronger until you're, 27, 28.
Yep.
And Chet has that whole extra year of age, and
I agree with that. I wasn't saying that.
I know you're not saying it's a knock on Wednesday. I know that's what I'm saying.
He's actually 21.
Yeah.
Just as a reference, though, I'm not saying that Chet's going to be a better player than Wemby in the end. I think Wemby's going to end up being the better player. I just think that there's
Right.
so much hype with Wemby when he came out. Like, it is easy to say he's going to get it, and there's really nothing anybody can do about it. But it's another thing to say Chet might beat him this year. And I think he's going to get it from him this year because of that.
Probably.
He's a little bit further ahead. So that's all I meant.
I get what
I agree with you. I think the only thing that would change that outcome is if there are voters who are in the same mindset as Omar, who are like, no, this guy's a year out. He has more of an advantage. I can't see that his numbers were that much better.
There will be. There absolutely will be people that do that. You know what? I think the best way to compare this is look at LeBron James' rookie year. Him and Carmelo were the two candidates. Carmelo had 1 year of college. LeBron had just come out of high school. Their numbers were almost identical. I think that was the year they said that there should be two rookie of the year candidates, but they gave it to LeBron. Why? Because, well, Melo
LeBron
had
was the face of the NBA. He was, for all intents and purposes, he was going to be the face of the NBA.
Exactly. So Melo had also had 1 year of college. There was those voters who said, no, he had an extra year to develop, and LeBron will be further ahead of him next year, so we're going to give it to him. So
was the last co-rookie of the year kid in Grant Hill? Is that the last time it happened?
I think that was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Shout out to both those guys, man. They were so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Do we?
Oh, actually, no. It was there was also Elton Brand and Steve Francis.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
there's Google that.
Yeah, I sure did just Google.
Okay, I was going to say that's
Jason Kidd in Grant Hill 94, 95. And then right after that was 99, 2000 was Steve Francis and Elton Brand. And then prior to them, it was 70, 71.
Okay.
So it hasn't happened often. But while we're on the conversation rookie of the year, I'm gonna just throw it out there because depending on how the season progresses and how this player's role progresses, my dark horse for rookie of the year is Jaime Jaquez from Miami.
He's playing really well, and I think that's one of those
my dark horse.
He's such a good fit for that team. He plays with high energy. He already fits in that, Miami type basketball that they're going to play. He's going to play defense. He's going to hit the correct shot. He's going to give it 110% throughout the whole game. And he's kind of like that tweener. He's not really a small forward, not really a power forward. He's somewhere in there. He's going to fit perfectly with that group. So I love that draft pick when they got him, honestly. I like watching him at UCLA. So
yeah, like I said, depending on how his season progresses and how he fits his role, develops and expands with Miami, he's my dark horse for rookie of the year.
If I had to pick another dark horse, which I don't think there is, I think it's gonna be Chet or Wemby. I don't think anyone's gonna get it, but Jaime Vasquez is one of them, but the other one would have to be Asar Thompson, just because
I knew you were gonna say that.
The defensive numbers are insane for a rookie to do anything like that. I don't know if he'll keep it up. I hope he does, but we'll see.
I think we have to, just because, but I think we're going to have to talk about Utah and Portland because they're in the division.
I know you don't want to. I want to talk about them. I like one of my favorite things to do is, by the way, since I'm going to mention this right now, another episode topic that we have to do is we're going to have to draft our own teams, and we're going to let the listeners decide who picked the best team.
We're talking about current team, like current players,
current NBA players. We'll do like one current, and then we'll do another episode later on where we do like all time. But we'll let players from the league decide in a poll who picked the best team. But one of my favorite things to do, and Mike's laughing about this. I know he's laughing about it. He's like, Zico's going to pick Kobe.
I'm not laughing at that. We already did it. Remember? We simulated it through 2K.
Yeah, actually, this is hilarious. During the pandemic, Omar, I don't know if you know about this. Our Tuesday night basketball league team that we had, we were doing Zoom conference calls because we had nothing better to do. Like, everybody's bored. So we're doing Zoom conference calls on Tuesday nights when we're supposed to have games. And we decided to simulate an entire NBA season,
We
NBA season,
drafted all-time players.
all-time
We
players.
each did 2 teams, and then I freaking simulated this on 2K, game by game. Just let them run full games.
Who was it that Elwin drafted? Elwin ended up having like one pick that just
They drafted Steve Kerr.
he just like named guys that he could like remember the name of.
And
I
how they
would have to look. I probably still have the team saved somewhere.
That was actually fun. But no, what I was thinking, we just do a current draft, Mike.
Yeah, I got you. I agree with you. We can do that.
Yeah, I think that'll be kind of fun. So
I get first pick.
yeah.
So now the 2 teams that Mike doesn't want to talk about is the Utah Jazz and Portland.
They're just not good. They're just not good, and they're not going to be good.
Right. They're not going to be good for a while. But honestly, Mike, one of the things I love doing is, and we've already talked about this, I've done this, is whenever there's a team that's not good, I like looking at the team and like playing GM in my head. Like, if I had the opportunity to fix this team, what would I do? And both these teams, even though they're not good, are in position to become better through the upcoming drafts. They both have multiple draft picks coming up in the next coming drafts. Danny Ainge loves collecting draft picks. We saw this in Boston. And last year, the Utah Jazz were a really good team. I think Lauri Markkanen is, maybe he's not a number 1 player, but he'd be a really good number 2 player if you could draft a number 1 player to put him next to. They have a bunch of other good pieces. I love Walker Kessler. That's a really good center that they could build around as well. If I could build around Kessler and Markkanen and probably Keontae George, I think Utah has some pieces that they could really build with. I could not understand why they traded for John Collins. Honestly, that would really throw me off. I didn't think that was the right move. But at the same time, I think that this is a team that they're not trying to win right now. They're trying to lose. So
I think they're the team in the NBA with the most centers on their active roster. I mean, sounds like Mike's top 10. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they do have like John Collins and Kelly Olynyk listed as centers, but I think those guys are probably more power forwards than their centers.
I mean, but still, I mean, if you just go down that list, yeah, you're right. They're listed as forward centers, but you got John Collins, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Michael Potter. You know,
they're playing Markkanen at small forward. They've been playing him since last year, small forward. Cavs did the same thing. I think Lauri Markkanen is a small forward. Kind of like a la deadlift strength, like the taller. Yeah. So I think that they're playing him there, and they're just adjusting the rest of the roster around that and playing 2 small guards. But yeah, I think Utah has some potential. They have stuff to work with. They're years away. It's not like the Minnesota Timberwolves where like they could be the best team in the league next year or anything like that. I think they're maybe 3 or 4 years away, but still, again, like they're the kind of team they have the capital to make a trade. You know, maybe there's another young guy in the league that they could trade for and build around. They did that already with Markkanen. So
they're like 3 or 4 years away from being 2 to 3 years away.
Well, we'll see. Again, something I like doing is playing GM, and I think there's a lot.
I think one of the bigger problems for Utah, and I know Danny Ainge is there, and I know, like you said, he collects draft picks, he builds great teams, but he's done that in bigger market teams. Boston's a bigger market. No one wants to go to Utah. Nobody wants to.
How many players really want to go to Boston?
I think a lot, just because of the NBA history.
I think the
how many players signed for Boston, Mike? Was it Horford and Hayward? Those were your 2 big signings.
But you're talking now. People have gone. I mean, Paul Pierce got drafted there, but Ray Allen went there. Kevin Garnett went there. People have gone to Boston. Boston
was traded there.
No, Kevin Garnett was traded there because of Kevin McHale.
But he wanted to go.
Well, he wanted to be a Laker too. If Kevin McHale was not in Minnesota as the GM, KG could have ended up a Laker.
Yep.
Everybody, but that's another big market. I mean, you're not saying ended up in Charlotte. I mean, it's a big
as a franchise, as the history of the franchise. Yes, I would rather go to Boston than go to Utah.
Yeah, I think most players would. I don't think players like playing in Utah. I don't think they like, with the exception of John Stockton and Karl Malone. There's never been a person who's like, yeah, Utah's my home. I want to be here forever.
I mean, Giddey might want to go there.
let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Yeah.
But hold on. But just one last thing about Utah. I think their biggest issue, in my opinion, is they do have a lot of talented guards there, but I just don't know if they fit or gel as a unit.
Utah?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they made a couple of moves that were questionable for me. Again, I didn't like the John Collins trade. I didn't think they needed him. I think the way they played last season worked a lot better for them. Also, if you watch, there's a few things that kind of throws me off with the Utah Jazz. Really, your only point guard on this team is Colin Sexton. They bring him off the bench. They play him as shooting guard. He started last season, and I don't really get the adjustment. Again, to me, it feels like they want to lose, or they're trying to promote Taylor Horton Tucker as a number one option so they can use him as a trade because he has a bigger contract and is easier to trade.
Yeah, but his stat line is not even tradable.
I know.
Right now.
That's
and that's why I made the comment. It's like they have a lot of guards, but they just don't seem to have they don't fit together and they're not gelling as a team that's built to win.
This is the issue that I have when I see like the new age combo guard. It's so hard to build with that because so many guys do it. Like so many guys need the ball in their hands, and you have a lot of guys on this team that do that. Like you're saying, Omar, it's like it doesn't really gel. What this team needs is a lead guard who's going to. They either need a lead point guard or a lead shooting guard, one or the other, like to balance each other out because they have too many guys to do the same.
I think they need a point guard, in my opinion, with the guys that they have on a team that are scorers first. They just need a pass first point guard that can you know what? If I'm Golden State, I'm trading Chris Paul to Utah.
Yeah, but I mean, if Utah does that, it's a dump for them. It's not.
No, but you need that type of point guard.
Yeah, but Golden State's not doing that deal. Is all I'm saying.
I know, but this is a podcast. We say controversial stuff.
Controversial stuff here. We did have a question that we asked on the Instagram for the OC Basketball League.
Oh yeah,
I think it was taken out of context too.
It was taken out of context. How
I don't think people understood.
There goes Mike trying to argue his point when he knows he's wrong. His ego's so damn big.
I don't know what we're talking about yet. Go ahead.
What were you talking about?
I was talking about Brooke Lopez.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about that right now. I was talking about how to fix the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Well, I mean, that was something that was brought up in last week's.
You got so defensive. I was just wondering what did I post? I can't even remember at this point. No,
because it was Brooke Lopez. Who's going to remember that? The so-called star.
Well, I remember that. I just want to talk about the Lakers first because we asked the question of what can we do to fix the Lakers after that horrible loss that they had against, I forgot who it was. It was like a 40-point loss they just recently had. Was it Philly?
I don't remember.
Can't remember. They got beat by 3 points. It was miserable to watch it. I wanted to throw my remote at the television and just go to sleep. But the two names that popped up the most were Zach LaVine or, ironically, Marcus Smart. Those are the two guys that the team players in our league thought the Lakers needed to go get. And
I want to know who said Marcus Smart in our league.
I don't want to list the names of.
What's wrong with Marcus Smart?
I like Marcus Smart. I'm a big Marcus Smart
fan. I'm not saying you may not like him or anything. He's not somebody that I would put in a trade talk going to the Lakers.
I don't know who you'd give up for him, but I think Marcus Smart would be beneficial.
I think he'd actually fit really well, especially if I could play him next to D'Angelo Russell.
I just don't know who you give up.
That guy gotta go. As a Laker fan, he gotta go.
He's not putting up what he's supposed to put up, but
he's not worth that check right now.
I think he's worth the check. I think the issue is he's not a number 3. And like this is the hard part of
playing with LeBron.
No, not necessarily playing with LeBron. This is the hard part of a salary cap. Like LeBron and AD are making max money. And, again, we talked about this. If the Lakers are going to go get Zach LaVine, who's I don't even know if like him as a number 3 is that much better. He's making $40 million. D'Angelo Russell making $17 million. I can't really, I don't think any team would complain with that, compared to some of the other salaries that are out there.
Well, and I'll go back to the comment I made on our first podcast is today's 17 million is what we used to know as the 5 billion, 6 million contracts. I get that. But again, I'm a Laker fan. I've been a Laker fan, but I'll say this loud and clear is I'm not a Laker LeBron fan, so I was not for LeBron joining LA. I did not want to get rid of the young guys. But as a Laker fan, I know the Lakers do not develop. They're not patient. They always trade to bring in pieces to win a championship. I'm ready for the LeBron era in LA to be over. And I like to see what the team is going to look like after that. And so all these guys don't fit. They don't fit around LeBron.
I agree with you in that aspect, Omar. Again, like me being someone who likes to play GM, I had a lot of fun with that rebuild mode that we had with the Lakers. I didn't expect them to win. I don't expect the Lakers to win right now. And I don't see them in a situation where they could trade for someone that's going to help them win right now. It's no disrespect to LeBron. I don't hate LeBron. I'm thankful he's a Laker and he got us a title. I appreciate any title anybody gets me for a Laker. If you're a Laker, you get me a title, I'm going to love you forever. Just plain and simple. It's the way I am about any former Lakers. If you are a Laker and don't help me win a title, I'm going to still care for you, just not as much, obviously. But that Laker team that we had with all those young guys, I thought we were building something that had potential. I love Lonzo Ball. I love Julius Randle. I love Brandon Ingram, even Clarkson. I met Jordan Clarkson and Julius Randle when they were drafted. I met them in Las Vegas when they're drafted and they're playing in the summer league. Those guys were two of the nicest NBA players that I've ever met. I've met a bunch of them. Some guys are a-holes. They were amazing, and probably because they're rookies and young. But it was a lot of fun building that team. But most teams do that. They start to build up, and then when the opportunity comes to make a trade to win one title, it's like Mike said, it's really hard to win back-to-back anymore. So if you have the opportunity to win one title, you go for it. And Lakers,
but look at Denver. Look at Denver. Most of the guys were traded by Denver. Drafted by Denver. If you look at Golden State, their three main players have been drafted by the team, have been there with the team. The Lakers have never known, they've always traded for that big name that helped them win championships. Not always. Not always. What do you mean? No. I'm sorry. I might be on Mike's side, but Shaq got signed, but Shaq wasn't drafted by the Lakers.
Right, but they did draft two guys that were their own. They built with.
And outside of Kobe,
they didn't draft Kobe.
Well,
Kobe,
but they didn't draft him.
Again, he started with the Lakers. He started his career with the Lakers.
Still didn't draft him.
Well, they traded for the first pick to get Magic Johnson too, Mike.
No, I know, but they picked Magic Johnson.
But tell me.
No, they traded the 13th pick to draft Kobe Bryant.
Well, they traded Vlade Divac.
He was drafted by
for the 13th pick.
Traded.
Correct, but Charlotte drafted him to make the trade.
Yeah, which is all fine and dandy, but Charlotte drafted him.
But Mike, he did not play. He did not play a game or a second outside of the Lakers.
I know.
But again, Shaq was signed. Paul Gasol was traded. Kareem did not start his career with the Lakers.
And they did both with Derek Fisher.
Oh, we're going there. Okay.
Yeah, but Omar, like even the Denver Nuggets, like you drafted Murray, you drafted Jokic. The rest of that team, they all picked apart. Like, they traded for Aaron Gordon. They traded for Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Michael Porter Jr., yes, they just drafted too. But like the rest of that team, like they all traded for. Even the Golden State Warriors, I know they draft their three guys, but they did sign KD.
Well, yeah, but when they initially started, they were all homegrown because they had
they traded for Andre Iguodala.
Yeah,
they traded for Bogut. They have pieces.
But your core. But again, yes, you're not going to have 12 homegrown roster players, but your three core players, You just mentioned them. They're all homegrown.
Yeah, I know.
And
OKC
that's what we're saying.
does that as well. OKC team is a team that does that well. But what ends up happening when you do that is, and like this was the problem that the Lakers were facing at that time, was you're going to have to pay them, and you can't pay them all. When you have multiple guys drafted in the same year and they're eligible for contract extensions, and suddenly you have to play with money that isn't there, and
that's where, rest in peace, Jerry Buss, who used to be willing to pay that luxury tax.
But
going over the
rules
salary.
are different now as well. The way everything is set up, it's completely different to the way it was there. Like at that time, you're allowed to have one max player, and you pay that max player whatever you wanted. Shaq got whatever he wanted at that point because he was a max player. KG got whatever he wanted, but you could only have one. Like things are a little different now. You could have multiple ones, but you have to work under a salary cap. So it's the NBA is just so much different than it was 20, 25 years ago.
I agree.
Are we going to talk about Portland?
Yes, we will talk about Portland. We'll make it short. I know Mike's not excited to talk about Portland.
Well, neither are you guys. Clearly, we keep talking about other things.
No, again, like I said, I like team building, and Portland did a lot of work in this offseason. Obviously, trading Damian Lillard was the biggest thing he did.
Deconstructed basketball team.
That's the best way of describing them, Mike. They're a deconstructed basketball team. They have some pieces that they could work with. They still have some room to make a few more trades that they could kind of build with. I think they're going to take, they have Malcolm Brogdon and they have Jeremy Grant on their team. I think both those guys are going to get traded. I think there's going to be a playoff contending team that's going to try and go for each of those guys. And I think they're going to take maybe like 3 or 4 steps back before they start taking any steps forward. They have the worst offense in the NBA. They're literally 30th in the NBA on offense. They are a little bit better on defense. They're 12th in the NBA on defense, which is actually impressive for a young team. But I think some of that is also Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon. You're basically deciding to build around DeAndre Ayton and Scoot Henderson,
which is silly. DeAndre Ayton is good, but that's it.
You know what? I'm kind of happy that this happened for DeAndre Ayton. I hope it's a wake-up call. He was in a situation where he was on a title contending team. And whatever reports that like I have read, he was the difficult one. He's the one that caused problems. In the finals when they're there against Milwaukee, some of it happened. If you're going to be like that and you really think your value is that much higher, let's see you perform now. Well, now it's your team. And I don't.
Is it his team?
Who torched Ayton in that final series?
Brook Lopez.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But we're talking about DeAndre Ayton here, right?
Who was the second best player? Who was the third best player on that team in that final series?
Chris Middleton.
It wasn't Chris Middleton. No, it wasn't. Chris Middleton hasn't been anywhere near himself.
It was Giannis, Holiday, Brook.
Yeah.
So are you now trying to justify Mike's comment about Brook a star?
So this is so Mike mentioned this. He thinks that people got things out of context, and I agree with Mike. I think people took things out of context because I was messaging with people back and forth afterwards. I had a lot of messages I had more messages about the Brook Lopez comment than I did about let's save the Lakers.
I knew it was taken out of context when I had a conversation with Anthony.
Because people are assuming you're talking about right now. If you're talking about right now, Brook Lopez, no, he's not a star right now. But was Brook Lopez a star? Yeah, he's still.
Let's bring the film back and rewind it. Mike was talking about today. Brook Lopez is considered a star. Nobody's talking about Brook Lopez when he.
But we're talking about the context of his career. I'm not.
But no, that's not what the conversation started, Mike.
But that's what Mike was trying to say.
Brook Lopez is a star. Once you're a star, you're always a star.
Really?
Yes. Is DeMar DeRozan a star right now?
DeMar DeRozan is a star. Yes.
He's still a star right now. Really? He's on one of the worst teams in the NBA right now. Like that. That's a star.
I mean, so
putting up empty numbers on one of the worst teams in the league right now, waiting to get traded is
okay.
A star.
But the thing is, he's still productive stat wise. Brook Lopez is not as productive as DeMar. Right now, if DeMar was on the trading block and Brook Lopez on take away Brook Lopez as being a 7-footer, DeMar has more value to him.
You just said take away the one thing that makes the guy valuable.
Because there's a lot of 7-footers in the league,
Take away Steph Curry's shooting ability, and what does he bring to the? I mean, come on.
Oh
dude.
wow, so okay, so then go ahead, take DeAndre Ayton.
Take DeAndre Ayton. I wouldn't trade Brook Lopez for DeAndre. I wouldn't make that trade.
I wouldn't make that trade right now either, Omar.
But you said the whole 7 feet was the one attribute that he had that made him.
Well, that's what makes him a good defensive center is the length of.
Not a star. I was waiting for you to say.
Omar, just as a reference, I messaged multiple people about this. So while he was split between New Jersey and Brooklyn, this is 3 seasons with New Jersey and then 5 seasons with the Brooklyn Nets. Brook Lopez was averaging around 20 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 assists a game.
And did you hear what I said? New Jersey Nets, Brook Lopez was a star in the NBA at that time.
Correct,
yes.
But he is
We're
still
about today.
He is still one of the best defensive centers in the NBA. He is currently averaging 14 points, 5 assists, 3 blocks a game.
But this is where I think people are taking the guy just because.
Name like Mike said last time. Name 10 centers you'd rather have than him right now in the NBA.
10 centers?
Yeah, name 10 centers you'd rather have than Brook Lopez.
And do we care what they're playing? Like what position?
10 centers. Like who's your starting center?
I know because some players centers are playing power forward or whatever the team. So we don't care what we consider centers, right?
Centers.
Jokic is one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jokic and Embiid, those are the givens.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. Sabonis.
3. I'll agree with that one.
Okay.
Bam Adebayo.
4.
Okay.
I'd rather have Bam. Like Bam. I love Bam. Bam is one of my favorite players. Amazing.
I'm gonna take Nikola Vucevic over Brook Lopez.
No,
not a chance.
You asked me.
I know.
You asked me. I'm naming my 10.
Okay.
Not a chance.
Okay.
I disagree.
Anthony Davis. I'm going to give you a bone there since he's playing center. I'll give Anthony Davis.
Ooh.
Okay. I would take what do you call it? Steven Adams. Talk about defense. Defense.
Go look at Steven Adams' numbers.
But again,
Okay,
you're asking.
That's fine. That's crazy. Keep going.
I said name 10 better centers than Brook Lopez.
To me, Steven Adams is better than Brook Lopez.
On Milwaukee.
I'm posting that on the next.
You're telling me what Brook Lopez does for Milwaukee, if you put Steven Adams on that team, they still won't be as productive in winning?
No, I don't
Not
think
at all.
Not at all.
Okay.
Because on top of what he's doing, his 3-point percentage is insane for a center to be averaging over 35%. He's averaging 36.3% from 3-point line this season, 37 last season, 36 the season before, 34% the season.
And this is the issue I have with today's NBA is everybody falling in love with the damn 3. Okay, I'm not a fan.
You have to remember, you're the reason why you have Brook Lopez there and why he's so effective and why he had to take a step down is because he's next to Giannis. If you have Giannis, who is a elite power forward / center who could play center, he's 6'11" and attacks the basket but cannot shoot. If you're a GM, you want to find, I need a center who can spread the floor because if I have a center who's sitting in the paint, Giannis can't get to the rim. You put Brook Lopez, it is match made in heaven. You took Giannis and put him next to Brook Lopez.
If you're gonna go there, I'm going Lauren Markkinen or I'm going Porzingis.
Not a center.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about 7.
Porzingis, I'll take Porzingis too. If you want to say Porzingis is better than Brook Lopez, I'll take that. But you're not going to get 10.
Brook Lopez doesn't miss games.
Yeah, Brook Lopez doesn't miss games either.
But it's okay. We don't need to get into the Brook Lopez.
And then you guys forgot. I'll take Nurkic over him too.
No.
I really like Nurkic, so that one's debatable for me.
Okay, so I got to 7, and you guys didn't like my last 3. So
no, you named a couple that just don't.
So you got to 7, and we didn't agree with 3.
No, my last 3, I said you didn't agree with.
I don't agree with Steven Adams at all.
But it's okay. Regardless,
But you didn't
wait,
agree.
regardless, you said earlier that he was a star. It doesn't matter at any point. He is a star in the NBA because he was a star at one
Because
point.
he was
in
a
the
star
NBA.
at one point.
That you continue to be it. You don't lose it. He's not an all-star. He's not a superstar. He never was a superstar, even when he was an all-star, but he is a star in the NBA.
So your star status continues even if your production is not what it used to be when you were considered.
100%. Michael Jordan hasn't done shit on a basketball court in how long now? That dude's still a star in the NBA.
Because Michael Jordan affected culture.
Allen Iverson's still a star in the NBA. Tim Duncan's still a star in the NBA. Kareem.
Tim Duncan to me is probably the best power forward of all time.
100%. What do you mean to you? To everybody? And if he's not,
but then again, you can't compare that.
Can't compare what?
What Tim Duncan's career to Brook Lopez's career.
Absolutely not. I completely agree.
Okay, so then what are we talking about? You said once you're a star, you're still a star. No,
he's just giving you the reference of we said here. Hold on. Do you agree with
Kenny
me?
Smith is a star in the NBA?
No, Mike. Hold on a second. Omar, do you agree with Brook Lopez was a star?
When during the New Jersey Nets days, yes.
That's what Mike was referring to. He's just saying that it carried over.
But he did not.
Christian Laettner is Christian Laettner a basketball star in the college world?
Oh wow, we're gonna start putting little.
No, I'm asking: is Christian Laettner?
If we're gonna put little nuances right now, I'm
asking a question. Answer the question: is Christian Laettner a star?
To certain people, basketball? Yes. But to me, no.
But he wasn't in the NBA, so did he go? Why didn't he lose his star status?
Because of that game-winning shot that he made, and he went to Duke.
So he was a star.
But right now, I want to ask you a question: is Christian Laettner top 10 college players of all time?
No.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
Is Josh Giddey a star in the high school circuit? I had to. You guys each got one. I get one too. So sorry, I had.
Oh, yours wins.
So bad. I feel so bad.
You know what? On that note,
like and subscribe.
Like, and shout out to Massimo's Pizza for what they
Max
do
Prep link
for our
below.
staff.
Shout out to two of our sponsors. I'm going to announce two of our sponsors. Friar Tucks. We have an awesome commercial that we made with them. I'm going to be posting that.
They're great for high school proms, senior proms,
homecoming,
wedding.
Shotgun weddings.
Also your suit for court.
The commercial's good though.
Commercial's really good. I hope you guys like it. I will be posting in one of the videos very soon.
Oh man, you know what? Who's the other sponsor? So we can
shout out to Massimo's Pizza, best pizza in all of SoCal. Omar knows them very well. They're my cousins that own that place. They're sponsored our league. Their pizza's amazing. It's New York style pizza. Omar is there more than I am.
Where can you get it at?
They're in Costa Mesa.
Yeah, you could order it online on Uber if you'd like, if you want it delivered to you. But they're in Costa Mesa off of 17th Street, right on the border of Newport and Costa Mesa.
And for our Muslim brothers, they got halal pepperoni.
That's right.
So,
you can catch Kitty's girl
that in mind. But after these jokes, we gotta call it a night. You know what?
We're right there.
I'm gonna let you know, guys. Know I will every podcast I'll be stealing a quote, and this one's for Mike. Before you criticize someone, you should walk a mile in their shoes. That way, when you criticize them, you're a mile away from them, and you have their shoes.
So these are going to be the outros, I'm guessing.
Yes, they are. I'm going to steal a quote every night.
Okay. Mike, are you okay with that?
I got nothing. I got nothing for that one.
Yeah.
You know what? I should have stayed away from a quote after the whole giddy comments we made. We should have just left on that note.
Yeah. I think
I would have preferred a different style.
We could just clip some of these, post them, but there's going to be more fun stuff. We're just getting started. Like and subscribe. That's all we got to do.
As a closing statement, these episodes will be uploaded sometime soon to Spotify and to Apple Podcasts. It's in the process. It's in the works. We'll make it a little easier for everybody to listen. I know opening up YouTube while you're at work could get you into trouble. Might be a little easier for you to do it via Spotify or Apple Music. So we're working on that. So bear with us. We'll get that going as well. Omar, you got any other words of wisdom you want to close this out with?
Always ask for the ID.
Easy.
Oh man, we're milking this one. Let's just call it a night.
All right, that's it. I'm not I don't want I don't want us getting in any more trouble. So thank you guys all for listening, and have a great night.